Hi Explorers! Today we're going to work on making our artwork a little bit more advanced by showing perspective. Perspective means that you're giving an impression or showing a point of view, okay? So I have a picture here that is a window and we're looking into the house. You may create a picture that has a keyhole, and I'll explain more about that in a moment, where you're looking through it to see something. Or this one was super fun, showing a path, and this one is a tunnel going through an aquarium. Let's look a little bit more at perspective and learn how this can be done. Let me explain perspective to you. Perspective means giving an impression or a point of view. So this can be done in a photograph that's taken with the camera, or it can be done in a picture that you've painted or even drawn. In this first picture on the left, you can see a close-up picture of a door, and this is a keyhole. A long time ago, the keys and the keyhole for the door looked a lot different. They were much larger, and you could actually look through them and see whatever was on the other side. So over here I have a picture of a lady looking through the hole in the door so that she can see either the outside, maybe this is going to the outside of the house, or she could even be looking into maybe a bedroom of the house. This photograph gives us the impression that we are standing outside of a house, because I can see the bricks on the outside of the house and the outside window frame, and we're looking in. This one is funny though, because we have cats looking out at us at the same time. So there's two different perspectives. We're looking at them, and then their perspective of them looking at us. These two windows show that we are on the inside looking out. They both show the ocean on the outside, so it's easy to tell that we must be inside because the ocean could not be on the inside. Over here on the left, you can also see the decoration in the house where these little curtains are here and the painted wall. This is one of my favorites because it really shows that we must be outside, because on these window panes, the panes are what hold those pieces of glass together for that window, and they have snow that has settled on there. Then we're looking on the inside to see all the Christmas decorations in the house. Here's another inside looking to the outside. We can see on the window sill, there's a little teapot and some vases. Here's a different style window that's an oval, and we can tell that we are looking out towards the outside, and we see the road, some trees and flagpoles. This is a super fun perspective to look at. This photograph, the photographer had to be lower on the ground, possibly laying down on the ground, looking up at these really tall buildings. This kind of gives you the impression that you are something small, maybe even an ant, looking up at these huge buildings. They look so much bigger when you are standing at the bottom and looking up at them. It also shows the lines of the building, and it's kind of drawing your eye towards the middle of the photograph. They're all kind of coming in towards the middle. This is what we call a one-point perspective with a vanishing point. So this is a little pier going out across some water. So your eye is drawn all the way across this pier until it looks like it vanishes because it's getting so small down there. So we call that the vanishing point. The vanishing point is where it kind of just disappears. You have a one-point perspective, and your lines will all go towards that one point. Here's another one-point perspective with the vanishing point. And so this is a road that appears to be going through some forest, and you can see that it just gets smaller and smaller as we go back. Something else to notice, that on the sides over here, your trees look really big. As they start to go towards the center of my paper, following along that road, we notice that they look smaller, but that's just because they're further in the distance. So if I wanted to create this in a drawing, my trees on the left and right would look really big, and as I get towards my vanishing point, I have to make things a lot smaller. Here's a one-point perspective. We don't really see the vanishing point. It's hidden by the people, but you'll notice that my eye is drawn towards the direction of this tunnel. This is an aquarium in Atlanta, Georgia. And so as I follow this path, the people start to look smaller. Why? Because they're further away. They're not actually smaller. Now, sometimes you'll have things that are smaller and bigger, like this really large animal here. And so he is swimming. He's kind of in the middle. So he's large, but if he were to be swimming way over here, he would be smaller looking. This is that same tunnel in the same aquarium. And so my eyes are drawn towards my one-point perspective. Here's a little handrail. All of this leads my eye towards the center. Here again, we see a really large sea animal. And so he's big and he's closer to us. He's not way over here down the tunnel. So he's gonna appear really large. As he swims further away from us, he would appear smaller. So if I was drawing or painting something like this, I want to make sure that I draw like this little guy. He needs to be bigger over here, and if I drew him further away, he would be much smaller. Today's project, you are going to be able to use whatever supply you have at home. If you only have crayons, that's perfect. If you have colored pencils or markers or even oil pastels, you're welcome to use those. And like I've shown you previously, you're welcome to paint your background in with watercolor paint if you have that available to you. For today's project, we're going to be making a window. We want to show the perspective of either someone standing outside the house, so I can see the bricks or maybe even the wood that's outside the house, and then looking into the house, or you can have the interior of the house, the inside. So this would be the wall where my curtains were inside, looking through to the outside of the house. You get to choose how you want to make yours and what perspective you want to show. I am going to ask you to be creative with your window shape. It does not have to be a simple rectangle or square. As we saw in the picture earlier, we had a window that was a really nice oval, and so it was just a big egg shape going around. Be sure to start out in pencil so that you can erase anything and change it if you need to. I'm going to start in marker so that you can see what I'm creating and my lines that are on my page. I'm going to go with a different shape window this time. I'm going to make it sort of like a rectangle, except at the top. I've seen some windows that have this curve. So the top of the window has this curve. And then across the window, under the curve, I'm doing a few lines so that this is showing the frame, which are like the little metal pieces or sometimes wooden pieces that you see going across the window to hold the pieces of glass together. Sometimes they have them, sometimes they're not. In this bottom section, I'm leaving it blank, which means it's just one big piece of glass. So you don't have to draw all those little sections if you don't want to. Now that I have my window shape, it's time for me to decide if I'm going to be seeing the outside in the window or if I'm going to see the inside of a house or a building inside this window. Be creative. You do not have to do yours just like mine, okay? My example again showed you bricks, which means this is the outside of the house, and I was looking inside the house. I'm gonna do the opposite for this one, and I'm gonna show a perspective of being inside the house, looking outdoors. So that means everything that you see in this part should be something that would be outside. It could be trees, it could be grass, it can be a park. Make it exciting, excuse me, and come up with your own ideas for that. While you're planning yours and creating your window shape, you can take a look at how I created mine. I did a window looking out into a little bit of a park or someone's backyard with some playground equipment and some trees in the background. So enjoy watching this little video, but make sure you get started on creating your own so you don't run out of time. You probably noticed that I added more grass and it went a little bit higher. On top of that, I added the trees and the sky with the sun shining. I want to make sure that I'm filling in my whole window so that it looks like there's some depth to it. Depth means that you have a foreground, which is this area right here at the beginning or the lower part of the window, and the background of my window is the higher part of it. I also made sure to add plenty of things on the outside of my window showing that this is a living room or even somebody's kitchen. It's got wallpaper, I have carpet there, a little end table, and a little ottoman with a little cat hanging out. Let your creative juices flow and add as many details as you can to help give that perspective to your photo. I can't wait to see what you create.